Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa! Dean likes eating pie. What is up, Goth Gamer Nation and Goth Hunters? Halfway through Season 1, baby. They all doubted me. Even I doubted me. I still doubt me. End of thought. Welcome to Darkened Streams, wherein I review every one of the 327 episodes of Supernatural, or however many YouTube allows before shutting me down. What did we learn in the last episode? Well, when all else fails in the quest to find your father, call Caleb. Good old reliable Caleb. Also, it seems like every supernatural force is just trying to get these two to open up to each other, to open a dialogue that they keep shutting down. Communication is key, fellow hunters. And lastly, sometimes if you work hard enough, you will be rewarded with that most elusive gift, a phone call from your father. Season 1, Episode 11, entitled Scarecrow, is written by John Shibon and Patrick Sean Smith, this being the latter's only supernatural credit, which should instill partial confidence that this might be a good episode. We got a seasoned X-Files writer and someone who wrote for Everwood to balance things out, which is a great example of the yin and yang that makes up the entirety of Supernatural. One trying to make an atmospheric horror procedural, and one trying to make a CW program. Kim Manners, ready to shake off Bugs and get back in the director's chair. Well, I don't think Bugs was his fault by any means, but it's gotta be demoralizing having your name attached to it. Luckily, he also has his name attached to one of the best episodes of the entire series, so there is room for redemption in the production of Supernatural, as well as corruption. It's a tale all its own that rivals even the actual end product. In the cold open, a couple meets with the helpful-seeming Jorgensen family. Hang on. I watched you die after you got electrocuted by that evil computer. And then you were that fake CIA motherfucker. How are you here? The couple then has some car trouble while traveling and seeks help at a remote farmhouse, only to be chased down and killed by a sentient scarecrow, which has one good, genuinely creepy shot, but the rest of it's kinda goofy. It's a cool set they're on, but I don't think they lit it too well because the picture is really grainy, especially when they start running, which looks funny for its own reason. Mainly, it just doesn't look like they are running very fast at all, and to compensate, the cameraman is jerking the camera around at this odd, uneven pace. I see what they were going for, and it reminds me of something Lost often did much more effectively, because they'd usually show someone actually running at full speed with a dolly or some kind of rig following them, and then cut to a handheld close-up where they are actually just running in place, but it's an effective illusion and makes it appear as though they are maintaining some kind of intensity. This is them slowly jogging in a shaky wide shot, and it just looks comical to me. We pick up with the boys right at the cliffhanger of the last episode, where for the first time in the series, Sam and Dean have a genuine interaction with their father, and Sam pleads with him to let them know where he is, but he refuses because he's hunting the demon that killed their mother, and it's something he stubbornly insists on doing alone. He tells them to stop looking for him and tries to pass off another unfinished hunt for them to busy themselves with. I'm a fan of this scene. It's a great character moment for all three of them. So far, we've had glimpses and hints of Sam and Dean's relationship with their father, and this is a great, clear example of it. Sam is ever defying John, insisting that they help him hunt down the demon. The fuck was that joke? Spurring an argument between the two, and the moment Dean gets a hold of the phone, he shuts down and goes into little soldier boy mode. Yes, sir, Mr. Dad. John gives them the names of several couples that died in Indiana, in the same manner as the two in the open, but the differences between the two brothers finally erupts in the ride over there. It's kind of funny that this is the best scene like this, probably in the series, and the one time this seemed justified. The one time it made sense that it happened. Sam finally snaps when Dean implies that Sam is selfish and a bad son, so he leaves for California based on the area code their father called from. You're not gonna leave me to hunt a scarecrow on my own, are you, Sammy? Unlike other moments in the show, we clearly see that they are conflicted about this breakup. Like, they both immediately regret it, each having their own moment of hovering over their contact on the phone, contemplating it for a moment, and then changing their mind. Who's Carmelita? Maybe we should talk about that. I can't believe he doesn't have Caleb in his contact. Dean makes an attempt to work the case alone, canvassing the small town where the couples went missing.
Let me guess. Scotty.
Yep.
That's not Scotty, that's Corporal Taylor from Season 1, Episode 10 of X-Files. He also played a different character in Episodes 8 and 9 of Season 4. So we got 2 X-Files 2-timers already. Either this crew knows what they're doing, or Canada needs more actors. He seems to be hitting a wall until he asks the Jorgensens about Vince, the guy with the tribal tattoo from earlier. They're about to send him away with nothing until their niece Emily remembers him and gives him the same directions out of town. On the way, the ring device goes off while passing an apple orchard, so Dean gets out to investigate. This is not interesting at all, but I thought it was really funny that a lot of the trivia I found about this episode concerned the inaccuracies with the apples and the trees that produce said apples. Apparently, these are actually probably hazelnut trees because those are more plentiful in Canada, and that they wouldn't be harvesting apples in the middle of April. Fucking idiots. Dean finds the obvious horror movie prop Scarecrow and notices that there's a strip of flesh tied to it with Vince's tattoo, which really should have died with him. On his Sad Hulk adventure, Sam meets a sassy hitchhiker named Meg. Wait a second. I feel like I've experienced this sass before.
Chastity, what did you and Tony talk about this morning?
Oh yeah, wait a second, this guy too. This is getting ridiculous.
Agent Smolder and Scully?
After bumping into each other a few times, they decide to travel together to California. It's good to see Sam moving on. Like, bro, I get it, your girlfriend died, but that was like 6 months ago. Get over it. I think them saying it's been 6 months is the first indication of how much time has passed since the pilot, which seems like an absurd amount of time. But I guess since we're halfway through the first season, it makes sense that it's been half a year. It's just like, really? Half a year in the stinky boy mobile? Oh, it's gotta be unimaginable. Everyone except for Emily behaves really hostile to Dean. He comes across another couple in a diner that is having work done on their car by the Jorgensens, despite not being aware of any car trouble on the way in. And Dean starts putting together that these two might be the next couple to go missing, but is literally escorted out of town for attempting to warn them. I like that Dean's feeble attempt at appealing to this couple shows how important Sam's good cop is to Dean's bad cop.
Well, you know, my brother could give you this puppy dog look and you just buy right into it.
Almost comically, the opening scene seems to repeat itself. The couple stumbles around the orchard at night and is attacked by the Scarecrow, but this time Dean is there to protect them. Conceding that he is weaker without Sam, Dean makes the call and they discuss the case. In what has to be the quickest and smartest Dean has ever been and will ever be, he independently comes to the conclusion that the Scarecrow is actually a pagan god, due to the cycle of murders lining up like an annual fertility rite. I'm not gonna lie, the rest of this conversation is like one of the cutest moments in this entire series. One of precious few moments where Dean genuinely apologizes and admits that he admires Sam's individuality and drive and even wishes that he had the courage to stand up to their father. It's also doubly sad that he says this as a goodbye, knowing that he can't talk him into coming back.
I'm proud of you, Sammy.
I don't even know what to say.
Say you'll take care of yourself.
This is why I can never dismiss the show as garbage. They may be hunting a big stupid Scarecrow man, but the heart of this episode is in these two finally reaching an understanding with each other. I don't know of another dialogue-heavy moment in this series where they just love each other so clearly. But anyway, fuck that bullshit, because we got an S-tier gold-level X-Files cameo right after this. Dean visits a college professor to determine which pagan god he's up against, and this guy is played by William B. Davis, the enigmatic smoking man who appears throughout all of X-Files. He's wonderful in that series, and he's just got an energy to him, even in this basic throwaway role. I'm like, wait a minute, let's hang out with this dude a little longer. Maybe he's my dad. Dean learns about a Norse god of protection named Vonner, a holdover from the Scandinavians that settled in Burkittsville. According to this big ol' leather Harry Potter book, followers of Vonner would sacrifice a man and woman to maintain prosperity, drawing its power from an ancient tree.
Kinda looks like a scarecrow, huh?
I suppose.
Come on, you know it does. Oh, you were doing a thing because you're in on this. Okay. Everyone in on this whole Vonner sacrifice deal meets up to discuss what to do after Dean sabotaged their last offering, deciding on Dean and Emily as replacements. I feel like I literally brought up this exact episode not too long ago, but the scene really resembles another scene in Season 2, Episode 14 of X-Files, in which a group of parents gather at night under umbrellas to discuss the need for a sacrifice, one of them being a relative of this group of conspirators. The circumstances are very similar, but that that episode had more of a satanic panic storyline that was played for laughs for a lot of it. There are some jokes in this episode of Supernatural, but less than you'd think with such an absurd premise. It often barely seems like the focus since there is a lot of family drama going on as well. The hunt isn't center stage, and even the mythology around Vonner is a really flimsy rendering that may as well be a thing they just made up. Sam becomes concerned after Dean leaves him on red for 3 hours, so he decides to ditch Meg and head back to Burkittsville. When Sam leaves, they linger on Meg for a while, as if to say, maybe we're not done with this character. Dean and Emily are tied up as sacrifices, and even though Emily's aunt and uncle seem remorseful, their faith in the Vonner does not waver. The town needs apple pie. Okay, it's all we have. By nightfall, Sam shows up to free them, and the two have this great exchange that exemplifies what I love about early Supernatural.
How'd you get here?
I stole a car.
That's my boy.
That do what you have to do mentality to their hunts was such a wonderful part of their characters. But later on, they never want for resources. They have a garage full of vehicles, a library of lore. If they ever need to do some kind of complicated spell, there's like a magic pantry they just have everything in. Oh, you need a unicorn horn? I'll check in the back. No, I probably got it, it's fine. So in the rare circumstance they find themselves, say, without a car, the thought of stealing a car doesn't even cross their mind, even though at a certain point they are friends with more than one cop and could probably get them to just lose their file again. Anyway, as they make their escape, the Jorgesens try and stop them, but the Vonner shows up and is apparently far less picky about who he accepts as sacrifices, killing Emily's aunt and uncle instead. The next morning, they torch the tree that was its source of power, destroying the Vonner along with the town's booming apple pie industry, which they conclude is enough of a punishment for all the couples the rest of the followers killed. In an epilogue, Meg has continued to hitchhike. Had to get in one more, huh? It's a stretch, but he's in a photo in episode 10 of season 5. That's the one that's co-written by Stephen King, where Dana's on vacation, and then there's a spooky doll that does stuff, and a lady gets her hair caught in an ice cream machine. It's fucked. It's a good app. It's a very good app. She comes back, she finds Mulder, and he puts a bunch of pencils on the ceiling. He's a fucking idiot. And is shown slitting a man's throat and using his blood to make some kind of demonic telephone call to someone she calls father. I don't know if this was meant to darkly mirror the cliffhanger of the last episode, but it's an interesting peek at where the season is going. Overall, it's a pretty solid episode that makes up for its bungled hunt with some incredibly sweet character moments, lots of ex-friends, and some genuinely funny dialogue. Dean's constant insistence that he has a plan that never comes to fruition is really great.
You don't have a plan, do you?
I'm working on it.
Also, I just realized how bungled hunt, probably the most vulgar sounding phrase I think I've ever said. The boys had their first breakup and it was resolved within the episode through good old-fashioned communication. A lesson they will soon forget many a time. They finally talked to their father. They killed a god, which appears to be much easier than killing a ghost. You just burn down its fucking tree while it's asleep. And we meet our first recurring villain, and their name is Meg. They get better names as they go.
Hold me, Sam. That was beautiful. Come on.
Hey, I'm taking off. I will leave your ass. You hear me?
That's what I want you to do.
I want you to know. I mean, don't think.
Yeah. I'm sorry, too.
Let's just shag ass before Leatherface catches up.